Today I'm again returning to the book of Acts and want to direct your attention to Acts chapter 9. This is where we read about the conversion of Saul of Tarsus, which is one of the most important events of the New Testament after the life of Jesus, because Saul, who becomes known as Paul, is the greatest missionary, church planter, most prolific writer whose work has survived to this day. Paul wrote a significant amount of what we call the New Testament, and so his conversion is a crucially important event. But I want to direct your attention to the first two verses of Acts chapter 9, where it says, "Meanwhile Saul, still breathing threats and murder against the disciples of the Lord, went to the high priest and asked him for letters to the synagogues at Damascus, so that if he found any who belonged to the way, men or women, he might bring them bound to Jerusalem." Now, some of you know this, but some of you probably don't, that long before Christianity was known as Christianity, it was first known as the Way. And this goes back first to Jesus saying, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." And it's also that the true way of the Lord, that you and I are called to live our lives in the same way that Jesus lived his life and taught his first disciples to live, that this true way of the Lord was probably the earliest name for Christianity. We hear about the way before we even hear in Acts about when the followers of Jesus were first called Christians, or little Christ. And so I think that's worth thinking about, that how would it be if we said, "I belong to the way of Jesus," rather than "I'm a Christian"? Because I think, unfortunately, in some ways, being a Christian, it's associated with a set of beliefs about Jesus rather than living a set of practices and habits that Jesus modeled for us. And I think especially in the West, we have this idea that I can be a Christian if I just agree to a set of statements about Jesus, and if I do that, I'm a Christian. Whereas in the early decades of the Christian faith, when it emerged and grew the fastest, what it meant to be a Christian was to follow in the way of Christ, to live as he taught his disciples to live. And as you know from listening to me, some of you for many years, that to me is what it's all about. You and I are called to live the way, the true way of Jesus. Self-sacrificial love, being a person of joy in the Spirit, all the fruit of the Spirit. That's all the fruit of following the way of Christ. And you and I are called to live that out every